Mm, mm, mm. All right, let's get right into it. Let me share my screen with you. All right. All right, this week's Torah portion. Back at you guys with another one. This one here. I use blue. Right here. This is the word just being used called Emor. Emor. Forget my handwriting, this pen. Emor. M-O-R. My internet, don't fail me. Emor. And so what does Emor mean? Right? So last week we talked about Kodashim. We talked about what it meant to be set apart in all the different areas in our lives that the Most High is bringing to our attention. We found out that we are, as a people, are supposed to be set apart and designated and appointed by the Most High to be a certain group of people. Okay. This in particular week's Torah portion is literally a continuation of last week's Torah portion. And what is going to be dealing with everyone is about the set apartness in the Kodosh or the Kodashim of the priest. So our word Emor, right up here, right quick. And he says it in a, okay, don't want to operate. He says it in a command form. Okay. So when the creator's talking to Moshe, he's telling him, look, I want you to continue to talk, because what Emor means is basically words. Okay. That's what it means. It's words. So they got to speak right here. So we don't get the full understanding of what we know that he's going to speak some words. Well, why? Why is this Torah portion named after Emor? Okay. And what Emor is, it comes from our Hebrew word, which a lot of you have been in the class, which is Amar. Okay. And Amar means to speak, but to speak what? Words. And what kind of words? Okay. So the words that the Most High is asking him to speak, okay, is a continuation. Okay, don't want to operate. Is a continuation of everything that was said previously. So what he wants to do is he wants to bring everything to a culmination. So the first time he talked to the people, all right, and he said, hey, listen, you exist. You have, this is who you are. You exist as Kodashim, because I'm Kodashim. Now he breaks it out and he begins to talk to the priest. Okay, very important for us to understand. And he's telling them that, listen, you guys are the ones, you, Aaron and your sons, there's an expectation I have for you that goes beyond what I told the children of Israel. Okay, so this is a higher level of Kodashim. Okay, so there's different levels of Kodashim. And I don't think we've never been taught that, you know, so we got a Kodashim that has to deal with the people, right? And then we have a Kodashim that has to do with the priest, okay, which are called Kohanim. And then we have a Kodashim that has to do with the high priest. There's a higher level of him, okay? So we have these different levels, okay? The highest level, of course, is the high priest. The sons of that priest, okay, or relatives of that priest, they are grandsons, great-grandsons. While they're in service as Kohanim, they are still Kadosh, they still set apart, but they're not the ultimate, which is this one right here, Okay. The only one who's ever been anointed with the holy oil, okay, over their head is this guy here. Okay. This is the one. What I found to be interesting in this Torah portion so far, we're only a couple of days into it, is that it indicates that there's certain things that, the priest can do, and there's certain things that only the high priest can do. One of the things that was fascinating to me was the fact that, and I should just read it, but the fact is that the high priest is not able to even touch, go see, or nothing the relatives of him that die. Okay, the Kohanim, they can, the priest can, but not the Kohen. The Hagadol, he cannot go leave the sanctuary for a death of his mother, his father, nobody. He can't touch anybody. Okay. And so that's the highest level of Kodashim that's required. So the Most High said, and Wayomer Yahweh de El Moshe Emor, meaning to speak command to the Hokanim, the Hakohanim, which are the priests, which are the sons of Aaron, and say, I'm reading from left to right to left. And I need you to say to them, Elohim, that for the soul, okay, they got there for the dead, they're implying that, but for the soul of he cannot make himself unclean. They can't defile themselves. But there's an exception. Okay. The exception is for these in particular priests, I'm going to English just for the sake of time, is that he may not make himself unclean. Verse number 4, he may not make himself unclean. He is the leader. Excuse me. Verse 3, he may also make himself unclean for, I didn't know it was in verse 2. Forgive me. It's just off. So verse number 1, Yahweh said to Moshe, speak to the Kohanim, okay, the sons of Aharon. Tell them no Kohen is to make himself unclean for any of his people who dies, except for his close relatives, his mother, his father, his son, daughter, and brother. He may also make himself unclean for his virgin sister who is never married and therefore is dependent on him. Okay. Gives us a clue, like, she hasn't touched, if she's been touched, he can't touch her. Okay. He may not make himself unclean because he is the leader among his people. Doing so would profane him. And now we remember what profane is, right? So somebody tell me, what does it mean to profane? Got a brand new car, got leather seats in it. I jump in with a pen in my pocket and poke a hole in it. What just happened to the value of that car?
It's gone down because of the damage.
Exactly. So here's the thing. So that's my example. All right. But in terms of when we talk about the Most High, this profane is even deeper. Okay. This profane right here is way past poking a hole. This means that it makes a person completely useless. Okay. They're useless and they have absolutely no value whatsoever. Okay. We learn this is because when the Most High talks about the things that he's looking for from the priest, he lets us know if something is not 100% and it has anything wrong with it. Okay. It's useless to him and he doesn't have any need for it. So this is the highest level of Kodashim, or what they would say in English, holiness that can never be imagined, which gives us a understanding about who we're dealing with. I would say 5 o'clock this morning, maybe 6, I don't know, laying in bed, still kind of sleep, but not really. And talking. I don't know if you guys talk to the Most High and pray while you're asleep or coming out of a sleep. But this idea of profanation came to my mind. And in it, the Most High was letting me know that, okay, you guys are profaning me, which we've already been over before. But this is before I even, really got into the study. And what it is, everyone, is he says that we're profaning him where we live in the nations. The ultimate way that we profane Yah's name, okay, is by saying his name. Okay, now hear me on this. This is where it gets a little interesting, because we all know that, the way that we live our lives and the food that we eat and the clothes that we wear and the information that we've learned, the names of other gods that we have spoken, those things are not just, you can't just wash some of that stuff off. Okay. So you're not going to be able to wash it off. It's on you. Okay. You got something on you. None of us are 100% pure, clean, ready to go. But the thing about using his name came to me, and I asked him, why is it that you have allowed us to profane your name? Because remember, the Jews said that his name is so, so wonderful and so holy that it can't even be pronounced, which is not true. It can be pronounced. The Most High is waking us up, and he's given us information about himself through his name. There's no other way for us to know about the Most High without his name. That's why he keeps saying, Ani Yahweh, Ani Yahweh, Ani Yahweh. And he's letting us know that this is my name forevermore. This is the name that I revealed unto you when you were in Mizraim. I didn't let your ancestors, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, they've never knew my name. Okay, they never had that experience with me. So my name is attached to that which has to do with you being delivered out of Mizraim and out of your slavery. That's why I keep saying it over and over and over again. So if the Most High is allowing us to find out what his name is and what it means, like Haya and it exists and so forth and so on, then how is it that it's profanation if we keep using it? The idea is this: the Most High knew that you and I would profane his name. Okay. He knew that our ancestors were going to profane his name. And he sent us to all the different places that he has in order so that it could be fulfilled for us to profane his name. Why? Why would he allow us to profane his name? Somebody tell me, what do you think why the Most High wants he will allow? He doesn't want us to do it, but it's just what it is. It's happening. But why has he allowed it? Why has he allowed a human being to call upon his name while you're still in your exile, while you're in your filth, while you're unclean, while you've used the name of other gods? Why would he allow us to use his name and profane it?
It's part of the cleansing process.
Say again, Dr. Red?
It's a part of the cleansing process.
Yes, it's a part of the cleansing process. Absolutely 100% spot on. And it's part of his design. Yah knew that when we left Egypt that we were going to be these people. He said, I'm going to scatter them. He told them that back in the, when they were in Egypt. And when they were in the wilderness. He already let them know, you guys are going to, you're going to profane my name. They're going to be scattered to all the four corners of the earth. Okay, so that's what it is. So you're going to be scattered. You're going to use my name. You're going to be taught by other people. You're going to, eat different foods, all this. He already told us what it is. Right. And so it's necessary that we go through this cleansing process, like Dr. Yared said, but also to everyone is so he can bring it to our attention. Okay. Like he did this morning. Like, you just saying my name is an offense to me. I'm like, what? Yeah, even saying my name, because you don't really understand how set apart I am. You really don't get it. You don't understand that as soon as you touch the dead fly and you're my people, that's not how it's going to be. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have a process to be cleansed, but right now you can't because you're not around, and I'm not around you. So why am I letting you know this? I'm letting you know this because I want you to feel something about it. I'm sharing this Torah portion this week, so it's a continuation of everything I said to you as a nation, but I also need to let you know that there's a higher level of set apartness that you don't have. So you might think, yeah, I eat clean. I don't eat the foods that I used to eat. Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. But that's not it. I do my best to try to, not shave my beard or my head and all this kind of, I don't go out and get no more tattoos. I don't do any of this kind of stuff. Yah says, well, that's still not good enough. That's still not where we need to be. Okay. So the Kohanim in verse number 5 are not to make bald spots on their heads. So there is no designs. They're not supposed to cut stuff on their hair. They're not supposed to mar the edge of their beards and cut gashes into their flesh. which this is a little different because the people that were around them, everyone used to purposely put scars on their face. I think I've showed you pictures of that before, where the African nations, they put scars on their face and they cut out the ability for them to grow hair in certain areas. So they put gashes on their skin and their flesh. They put markings to remember the dead. They do all these sorts of things. So it's not just about, cutting the edges of your beards, because we get lined up, we trim our beards. So for you men who have beards, you could tap it, but don't go past the natural growth line. That's what he's saying. But more specifically, don't cut anything or mar yourself where you won't have the ability to be able to grow hair. So don't cut stuff in your head and then your hair won't grow back. Okay. Rather, they are to be kadosh for their Elohim and not profane the name. Okay. See, this is about the name of their Elohim. Okay. So the way that we live our lives and what we say, and even using Yah's name, is profanation. Okay. For they are they're the ones who present Yahweh with offerings made by fire, the bread of their Elohim. Therefore, they must be kadosh. A good part of this Torah portion that we're going to see is about what they're eating. Okay. And what they eat is different than what everyone else eats. Okay. They don't eat regular bread. Do you understand? They don't, everything that these priests are eating is set apart. Everything that they digest is set apart. Every meat offering that they have has been set apart and offered to the Most High by fire. And so these are the reasons. And so what's the reason? Why is he telling them this? Is it simply because that's their inheritance? Or what point is he trying to get over to them? What is he trying to get them to understand? What do you guys think?
And everything that they do has to be to a certain standard.
Absolutely. Everything has to be a certain standard, but also too, Dr. Ured, is not only everything's supposed to be a standard, but guess what? You're divided. You're separated now. So there's separation and divisions even made among the people. Okay. So when we get back to the land, some of us may be Lemuim. We might be a Kohanim. We might be, right? And therefore, you and I are going to have to be able to operate. And look, let me tell you something. Don't hold it. I know we want to be, what tribe we want to be, but the fact of the matter is, those who are of Lewi, they're the ones who are bent on following what the Most High says. That's what it is. Okay. Of course, Dawid was, but his whole house wasn't bent on following what the Most High says. So the responsibility for these in particular group of people, Yah's giving us a clue. Now, here's the thing. When he brings us back to the land, a lot of us are, of course, he's going to divide us into our families, right? Some of us might be Lawim, some might be Yehuda, some might be, Don, God, who knows? Who knows what tribe you're going to, right? But the fact of the matter is, everything that he does, and I want this to kind of stay with us, not only for today, but forevermore, everything that the Most High is showing us through this idea of the priesthood is for us to understand the role that you and I are going to play when we get back to our land. Okay. Now you say, and I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to go somewhere right quick. We're in Leviticus 21. Let me go and show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So it's not like we're trying to just have a Bible study, because that's not what we do. We're Hebrew Israelites. We're looking at exactly what our Creator said to us, and we're trying to put the pieces together so we can better be prepared and be better prepared, and ready and available for that which he wants to do with us. Remember, Yah is leading us and he's guiding us into the truths that he wants us to understand. Okay. And then also too, he has several different flocks. He just doesn't have one flock. He has several flocks. We're just one of his little flocks that he has. Okay. There's other people out here that he's dealing with in the way that he's dealing with them. They have different teachers and so forth, but we're all part of Yah's community and his family, but we're a little flock that he's set aside. So the Most High tells us something about where's it? Did I say Exodus 19? Yeah. This is what the Most High said. Am I looking at the right thing? Oh yeah, verse number 3. Moshe went up to Elohim, and Yahweh called him from the mountain. Here is what you are to what? Say, Emor, continue the words to the household of Yaakov and tell the people of Israel. Okay. Interesting enough, household of Yaakov includes everybody that's been bought or have been born into his family. And the people of Israel is the whole entire community. Okay. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I carried you on eagle's wings, and I brought you to myself. You saw that. Now, if you would pay careful attention to what I say, right, which is Shamar or Shemoah, okay, it's all about what Yah says. Okay. So if we would to pay careful attention to what he says, okay, and guard my covenant, which is his words, then you will be my own segula, my treasure from among all the peoples. For all the earth is mine. Everything is already mine, and you will be a kingdom. Okay? Okolanim. That's what you're going to be for me. And not only going to be that, but you're a kingdom of that, but you're also a nation. That the nation and the kingdom that you are is you're a kingdom of Kohanim, which you're going to be priests for me, and you're going to be set apart. And then he says, these are the words, okay, that you are to speak to the people of Israel, going back to our Torah portion, okay? So if that's the case, and of course, Moshe tells them everything that Yah had ordered him to say, and everyone agreed and said, everything Yahweh said we will do in verse number 8. And they reported the words of Yahweh, and then Moshe reported the words to Yahweh based on that, okay? So then we go on and he gives us the 10 words and whatnot, all right? So I brought that out because I'm trying to get us to stay in line with what the goal is, right? So if you, because we're not playing any religion, we're not in church, we're not doing that. We're done. We're giving that up. But I want this all to make sense to us as we continue on our journey and we continue to walk with the Most High. And so he says here that, listen, verse 6 again, they are to be kodashim. That's what they supposed to you kodashim, just like the people, for their Elohim, and not profane the name of their Elohim, for they are the ones who will present Yahweh with offerings made by fire, the bread of their Elohim. Therefore, they must be kodashim. Okay, and so that's the reason, right? Because that the goal is for the nation. So what they're going to be doing is teaching the nation how to live, and they're going to make a distinction in the separation between that which is clean and that which is unclean, that which is profane and that, you know, that which is not, that which is common and that which is set apart. Okay. And that's the goal. Okay. And so he used this family to do it because they're the only family, right, out of all the tribes who are going to be responsible for this. All right. And they were chosen by the Most High while they were in Egypt. They didn't get chosen when they went to the wilderness. They proved themselves to the Most High when they were in the wilderness, but they were actually chosen when they were back in Egypt. How do we know this? Because the book of 1 Samuel tells us in chapter number 2, I believe, the Most High says, I chose you, that your family, the tribe of Levi, when you guys were already in Egypt. So at that time, we also know in Egypt, when they were in Egypt, that family was responsible for a great deal of leadership. And we saw that, I think, in Genesis too, where the Most High was calling them, and there was families that were set apart. Reuben's family was leadership. Simeon's family was leadership. And then we see that Levi was in leadership. Yehuda at that point too, he had some leadership because he's the one who got Joseph, reestablished that relationship back together. So that idea behind them being in charge of Yah's word is because of their character, because they're willing to do whatever the Most High, they're willing to kill for him. Okay. But that's the goal of the whole entire nation. The Most High literally wants everyone to be just as driven as the Kohanim are. And that's the goal. So in verse number 7, he tells us that a priest, and he's talking about Aaron's sons right now. He's not even talking about Aaron. He says a Kohen is not to marry a woman who is a prostitute. That word right there, a prostitute, I want to go over. I think I'll probably save that. Yeah, I might say that for Shabbat. So Kohen, he's not to marry a prostitute, right? Who has been profaned, right? This woman is a prostitute. She's been profaned, or who has been divorced because he is Kadosh for Yahweh. One little thing I do want to point out about the prostitute is that the fact that he says that who has been profaned. Okay. Prostitution is not acceptable in the nation for male or female. Also, too, the idea behind him giving us a clue about what someone's profane is like. Oh. Do you guys remember the Most High says that Israel has prostituted themselves, right? So Yah's idea of profanation, of anyone who profanes him or is profane, he looks at them as they're a prostitute. Okay, that's what he looks at. Okay, and I'm not going to save it for Shabbat. I'm going to talk about it right now because I might not be here for Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? So I want to take advantage of the time that I do have. I'm not going to suppose that I'll be here. That's not right. I'm living today. I don't know what tomorrow is. I know what today is. Okay, this prostitution right here is from this word called zana. Okay. And it's a zadi and it's a noon as its parent root. Okay. So this Zion right here, I said zadi, it's Zion, Zayin. Okay. And Zion gives you that Z sound as in zoo. Okay. But the actual word means to cut. Okay. It's a cutting instrument that's used for agriculture. Okay. It's like this is, I don't know if I drew it properly. It's a cutting instrument that you would put on the back of a, oh yeah, here you go. You would put this, here's the cutting part that will go into the ground, that will go into the dirt, right? So, and it's attached to an ox to pull it through the dirt, okay? And it cuts through the dirt and it plows and it makes a hole, right? And so that's what that letter means. It means to cut, and it means and it has a meaning for harvest, because when you talk about vegetation and you're talking about cutting something, you're really talking about harvest, either to prepare the harvest or to harvest, to pull everything from it. The next letter, as you already know, is a noon right here, right? And so the noon is what? What is the noon? Somebody tell me what the noon is.
The seed.
No, yeah, absolutely. So the noon is the seed, okay? And so when you have those two ideas of the cut, the harvest, what you have is this idea about cutting the seed, okay? That's what a prostitute does, okay? So what does it mean for her to cut the seed? What do you think as a prostitute? What is she doing?
She's diluting it.
Yeah, that's very close. So what she's doing, very close to what it is. What she's doing, excellent, is that she's cutting off the seed. So the seed that's supposed to be planted, right, to bring forth, a son or a daughter, is being cut off by her, because she's like a land, right? She's just another land. It's a man. He has seed. He's planting. We got to think about agricultural terms here. He's planting seed. He's spreading seed, and so his seed is being spread into this land, which is called Zana. Zana is profane because Zana is being. Why is Zana? Why is this land profane? Why is it profane by the seed? That's a good question. Praise the mighty Yah. What did Yahweh tell us last week about two different types of seed?
Don't mix it.
Yes, absolutely. So there is no mixing. So you can't mix seed in a land. So when this woman, right, this land, right, just like Adamah, when she is going through her act of prostitution, she is having multiple different seeds that is being placed in her land, and they're mixing. all different types of seeds. Okay. Therefore, she's profaned. Okay. So can't do that. The land, so we have to look at our lives. And this is really good for us because we're an agricultural people. The Most High is letting us know that if you want to understand life and you want to understand how to live and you want to understand goodness and you want to understand profitability, you want to understand growth and development, all you have to do is look at a land. That's all you got to do. If you understand agriculture, then you better understand your life because we possess everything that it has. You see, so we stand tall like trees, and there's both male and female trees. You can go look that up. Men have the seed, the woman has the egg. You understand? So there's that. There's different times of what we need. We need sunlight, we need water, we need, we have, the bloodstream that runs through our body is like rivers. There's different channels, and sometimes things can get backed up, and you know what I mean? So everything is about a flow, even talks about a woman's menstrual cycle is like a flow, right? It's a flow. It's a spring that has a flow that comes out of it. So when we look at these things, we have to start looking at how this relates to our lives. And because he even uses animals for us too, about personalities and character. So this prostitute is someone who's cutting off the seed, which means it's cutting off the opportunity for the Israel to expand. And it's cutting off the opportunity for there to be sons and daughters. So what we did when we prostituted ourselves, what we did is that as a people, no longer that we're doing this, but as a people, we have prostituted ourselves to the point of mixing, and we don't have the physical seed, but what we do have is we went to a whole bunch of other gods. Because Yah says that, I asked you to have my children, right? You guys killed my sons and you killed my daughters. So if they're Yah's sons and they're his daughters, then, right? So why is he claiming that? He's claiming it because number one, he had purchased Israel. Israel is his. And he said, I'm like a husband to her, calling Israel his wife, but calls Israel his son. So he uses all the different relationships that we have, whether a husband, he uses the relationship as, a companion, to be a shepherd to us. And he uses the relationship between a husband and wife and a son and a father. And he also says that, have sons and daughters. So when we prostituted ourselves, our ancestors, they were going to other gods. And he said, you're prostituting yourself with those and you're fornicating with them. So all the children that you were supposed to have for me, right? Bless, my children, you were dedicating them to these gods. So there's that component as well, that spiritual component, right? Israel is a blessed seed, okay? We're an eternal seed. So we can't, I wish this pen would operate, you guys. It's not me. I know I can write better than that. We're a blessed seed. We're an eternal seed. So we don't supposed to be mixing or having relationships with other gods. And this is why it's important for us not to go in a covenant with another God, because once we get married and go to another covenant, then you can see what the Most High is saying, that a priest can't do this. He can't marry a woman who's a prostitute, who has been profane, or who has been divorced. Someone may say, well, didn't Yah say that he divorced Israel? So, right? So the Most High had asked the question, well, where's your mother's divorce decree? So he wanted to divorce her, but he never handed her the paperwork. He just put her out. He just put us out the land. You understand? And he could take us back. But because we've been prostituting ourselves. So if you want a good idea about the mercy and the character of the Most High, go read the book of Hosea. He told him to go marry a whore, and he said, hey, this is what Israel is to me, right? And her sister Yehuda is no better. So because he is Kadosh for his Elohim. So a woman who has been divorced is one who has been driven, forget writing it, who has been driven away. Okay, that's what it means to be driven away. That's what divorce is, to be driven away. And once you've been driven away, Most High says, from a man's perspective, he can't be with that woman. Why? He can't be with her again. Why? Agriculture. Why can't a man take back a wife that he divorced? Think
Because
about
she's cut off.
she's cut off, but also too, she has been with another man. Therefore, she has contaminated. If you put his seed back into her body again, then the seed is mixed. So our seed, listen carefully, men and women, carefully listen to me. When a man has sexual relations with a person or a woman, okay, he's literally putting his signature on her. Okay. That's how this Most High is putting it to us. That once a person, this is why he told the priest, like, you know, you can, if your sister was a virgin, she ain't never been touched. She can eat of these things. You know, I mean, you could go, you know, I didn't even get to the eating part, but you can go, if she died, you could go and touch her and grieve and all that for her. But she never could have been touched. Right. So the moment that a man touches a woman, that's the moment he puts his signature on her. So, and at that moment, for a priest, even if his sister died, if she wasn't a virgin, even when if she wasn't a virgin, Most High says she's been profaned. You see, this is the reason why he's going to let you know in verse number 9 why he's saying what he's telling us. The daughter of a Kohen who profanes herself by prostitution profanes her father. She is to be put to death by fire. Now, you know, this is deep. This is heavy. You know, you do something and prostitute yourself in any type of way. That means that you seek out, you know, men and stuff like that. He said, you're done. You're going to be burned. Okay. And I think he goes to a little bit more deeper on another area where he says where that person's supposed to be burned. They're actually supposed to be set on fire. She gets death by fire, but she gets brought out of her father's house and set on fire right at that house because she profaned her father's house. Okay. The death of a daughter who was found doing something else that wasn't a Kohen, all she's going to get is the stone. She's going to get stoned to death. If she went into prostitution, she's going to be stoned to death. If she was just, you know, promiscuous, she's going to be stoned to death. But if she's a Kohen's daughter, she's going to get the fire. Now, why is the Most High telling us this? Because remember, he uses everything as an example. What is he saying? This is what the Most High is saying. But he wants us to look at everyone is to compare and look and take a hard look at the priest because they are representatives of his holiness, his set apartness. So if he's saying this is going to happen to a daughter of a priest, what do you think is going to happen to a daughter, which is nothing but a feminine soul, just like a man is a feminine soul, so it's on lock. What do you think is going to happen to an individual that prostitutes themselves against the Most High? Where they get? If you get in on earth from your father in the Levites, what are you going to get from the Most High? You get in the fire. So if we serve and prostitute ourselves to other gods, this is the reason why he's mentioning this. Okay, because Yah is the ultimate level of set apart, a Kodashim. He says, you need to be Kodashim for I am Kodosh, right? So I'm letting you know that if I'm telling you that I'm going to destroy someone's daughter and bringing them outside, setting them on fire, I'm letting you know what it's going to be for anybody that is my son or my daughter, the soul that does that to me and prostitutes himself to another guy, they're getting the fire. Okay. Here's another thing that you need to look at. When Nadab and Abihu, which are Aharon's sons, when they committed the crime that they did about bringing a strange fire, they brought something foreign, okay, into Yah's service, this foreign fire, and try to bring some incense, something that Yah never told them to do. They got the fire, okay? Certain people are getting the fire, okay? The other individuals that were part of Korach, which we're going to find in Numbers in a few weeks, where they went out and tried to get another assembly and try to do something different, and they came and had the incense, and he told them, show with your censers. And what did they get? They got the fire. Okay, the book of Malachi, he tells us that I'm going to bring fire, okay, upon the whoremonger, the adulterer, the wage earner, all those people, they're getting the fire, right? So, because that's how something that can't be purified with water, it has to be done with fire, okay? Another thing, when the Most High had called Eliyahu, and he wanted to prove to the people that Yah is El, that's what his name means. Eliyahu means Yahweh is Elohim, and he did an offering, and he tested the people, and he did it by fire because they were prostituting themselves with Baal and Ashtoreth. So the Most High's way for purification is with fire. When he talks about the offerings that they're bringing, he said that you don't do these things because all my offerings are made by fire. When the altar is on fire, the fire shall never go out. Okay. I don't ever want that fire to go out. That fire is never to go out. The Most High is the one who lit the altar on fire when he inaugurated everybody. They didn't like that fire. He lit the fire. Therefore, it continues to burn, right? And so, as our teaching has done before, the Most High asked you to bring wood all the time, and I need you to put wood on that altar, and that was part of the Levites' responsibility to collect the wood, but the priests are the ones that are supposed to always put it on, take the ashes out. But that wood has the idea of counsel, because it comes from the word of eitz, which comes from our word counsel, which is eitzah. So when that fire is burning, that is the counsel of the Most High. You understand? So that's why they're always going there, because the Most High has a counsel, and the Most High has fire. He has an altar in front of him, as you have seen in the book of Isaiah. Okay. I think it's in chapter number, we can go there right quick. Chapter number 6, where you can see that this is not something that we should just look at and ignore. Okay. So these are the little clues that the Most High is giving to us to let us know what's really going on. Verse chapter number 6, it says this in the book of Isaiah. The year of King Uzziah's death, I saw Yahweh sitting on a high and lofty throne. The hem of his robe filled the temple. Now, this is in a vision. And then he said the seraphim stood over him. What? They stood over him, the seraphim. Seraph in Hebrew means fire. They're the fiery ones, okay? And there's multiple ones. So these are a group of beings that are fiery beings, okay? We all have other places that we can go to where I can show you the Most High has horses that are fiery horses. He has Malachim who are ones on fire, okay? And they saw him and they saw a vision of his glory, and they saw from the waist down, it was fire. You see, Isaiah 66 tells us the Most High is coming in his raging storm in fire. So each one of these seraphim has 6 wings. He had 2 for covering his face because he can't look at Yah. No one can look at Yah. No one can look at him. Okay? So they're covering their face. He had 2 for covering his feet and 2 for flying. Why is he covering his feet? He's protecting himself. Yah has him covered. The two for flying, that's the only time he can not have his stuff covered. You understand? So they were crying out to each other. These seraphim, meaning more than one. More holy, kadosh, kadosh, kadosh is Yahweh Zavaoth. The whole earth is filled with his glory. Okay. So when you talk holiness of holiness, that's kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. That's what they said to the one who fills the earth with all of his glory. And they said it in a way that says he is the Yahweh Zavaoth of all the armies. And so the doorpost shook at the sound of their shouting, and the house was filled with smoke. A temple. He's sitting on a throne. Then I said, woe to me. I, too, am doomed, because I, a man with unclean lips, living among a people with unclean lips. Why is he talking about the lips? He's talking about the lips because the lips are used to speak. Okay. And which he's let him know, I have seen with my own eyes the king, Yahweh Zavaoth, in a vision. Okay. He didn't see him outside of a vision because he would die, because Most High said, ain't nobody ever seen me. So the Most High allows him to look upon the king sitting on the throne, Yahweh Zavaoth. And one of the seraphim, so lets us know one of them, flew to me with a glowing coal in his hand, which he had taken from the tongs from the altar where there is a fire. And he touched my mouth with it. I've been scared, thinking he's going to burn my lips. Here, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is gone. Your sin is atoned for. Through what? Through that fire. Then I heard the voice of Yahweh saying, again speaking, whom should I send? Who will go for us? I answered, I'm here. Hine, send me, meaning I'm at your service. And he said, go and tell this people, meaning say to them, yes, you hear, but you don't understand. You certainly see, but you don't get the point. Okay. That's what Yah said. So there's something that we need to be mindful about, is that the Most High said you might be able to hear some stuff, but you don't understand. You really don't know. You can see some stuff, you can see, but you don't get the point. Meaning the declaration of why Isaiah is sharing this, because his name means salvation, by the way. Yah is salvation. He's letting us know, okay, that Yah is Kadosh. And we need to remember this. He says, make the heart of this people fat, meaning sluggish. Stop up their ears and shut their eyes. Otherwise, seeing with their eyes and hearing with their ears, then understanding with their hearts, they might repent and be healed. So this people is a certain way. That's why I'm going to send you to them, right? And so I asked, yeah, well, how long? And he answered, until cities become uninhabited ruins, meaning at this time in Jerusalem, houses without human presence. The land is utterly wasted until Yahweh drives the people far away, and the land is one vast desolation. If 1/10 remains, it will be again devoured. But like the pistachio tree or the oak, which is one of the strongest trees ever, the trunk remains alive, and after its leaves fall off, the holy seed will be its trunk. Okay. There is a holy seed. There's a kadosh seed will be its trunk. Right. So whatever and whoever's coming out of this very strong tree, this oak, it's called an elif, like from the word aleph. This is aloof. I think it's aloof. It says its trunk is very strong. And whoever remains alive after his leaves fall off, the holy seed will be in his trunk. And that holy seed is the individuals who understand, who's the set apart seed, the ones who understand that the Most High is Kadosh. Just to confirm it before you go, let's hit this one time. We got a few minutes left. I'm going to go to Isaiah again, and I'm going to show you what they said. Okay. Right here. The seraphim, the Emor, the may Allah low 6, okay, 6 wings. Oh wow. Yeah, 6 wings. Okay. Oh, and then they cried, Wakara, and it cried, Mze de Elize, one, this one to this one, and look at our word for our Torah portion and said, and Wa Amar, they said something that you and I need to remember. They said, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. They said it 3 times. Yahweh Zavaoth. Malo kole ha'adres erakavodo, meaning all the earth is filled with Yahweh's glory. Because he's Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. 3 times. In your prayer this week, you can incorporate that. You just say, Kadosh, 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 Yahweh Zavaoth. That's what you and I should say to one another. If they're saying it and they have their wings covering their faces and covering their feet, right? And they got that kind of honor, and that's all they say. They don't say nothing else besides that. And they're the seraphs. They're the fiery ones. Okay. And so let me put right here just to confirm. Kadosh, 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 Yahweh Zavaoth. And one cried to the other. Where is it at? Seraphim right here, 83-14. There you go. The guy's a fiery serpent. They call it a fiery serpent, but really what it is a fiery being. That's all we know. It's a fiery being. Okay. So these beings, they have wings, right? And that's what they do. So all around Yah, everyone, is nothing but fire. So how great is Yah? If Yah's presence is 7 times greater than the sun, that's what it says is going to be in Jerusalem when he's there. 7 times greater than the sun. His light is 7 times greater. So what that means is that you and I don't see as well as we're going to see. This Torah portion, again, is about Yah speaking about his holiness. Therefore, to prepare you and I to get ready to have this interaction and to understand that to be in his presence and to be a participant in anything that he has us do, we should always remember that Kadosh, 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 Yahweh Zavaoth. Say it all week long, because I'm going to. Kadosh, 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 Yahweh Zavaoth, Yahweh's army. And for us to be able to say that, I believe that's glorifying to him. I think those are the words that you and I need to be saying. We may not be seraphim, but we are the blessed seed. We are the set apart people, which gives us a right to speak about Yahweh's name. Okay. But be careful how and what you associate his name with. So Kadosh, 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 3 times, Yahweh Zavaoth, is acceptable because it's written for us to hear it and to know it and to understand what it means. He's set apart, set apart, he's set apart. Why 3 times? Could it be the heavens, the earth, and everything underneath it? Because he always talks about the heavens, the earth, and everything underneath the earth. Yah is Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. He's in everything. The whole earth is filled with his glory. That's what the following words. So in everything, in the depths of the earth, Yah is Kadosh. In the earth itself, he's Kadosh. In the heavens above, Yah is Kadosh. And did you notice there was no mention of anybody else? There's nobody else. But the one that you and I are dealing with, he's Kadosh. Therefore, you will be Kadosh. For Ani Yahweh and Kadosh. Hallelujah. 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 Praise the mighty Yah. Any questions? Contributions? If not, I say Lila Tov to all of you. And you guys have a wonderful evening. And I'll see you later on this week if y'all's willing.
Lama Cho, Toda Baba.
Love you too.